Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning. It is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I have to admit, I was not really ready today. I thought I had everything ready, and then I pulled up my desktop and my workspace was all screwed up from work that I was doing early in the week, and that's why I'm so late today. Anyways, we are down. We are down. Let's pull up the volume chart. There you can see on Friday we took a pretty good downturn and opened up down over the weekend. A little bit of a recovery, but we did finally touch this point of control. So even though we're down, it's like, we're just erasing last week's gains. So not the end of the world or anything, but a little bearish. Actually, a lot bearish. I think Treasuries having a little bit of a fit down here. I don't know if they're gonna pop back up or what. This has been where the bid has been for a while, so long here might make sense. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. How do we look? I got some lights for behind me. It's not quite off. It's not quite getting this spot right here. We gotta fix that. We have to do something about that. Maybe I just have to make this other light brighter or move it over. There's that spot like behind my head that doesn't really matter as much. Well, I suppose we can fix it. Let's start to text to speech first, though. Treasuries are ticking up there. Oh man, and I need something to dab my eyes so I can't find it. All right, let's mess up a couple things. That's a little better. That's actually a lot better. And then we need to move this one over here. Cool. Now I need to find something down my eyes. All right. Well, bonds do appear to be turning. Oh, I already missed it. I could take it at 30. Let's try it. All right. Yeah, it looks a little better. probably even move that one. There we go. I think that looks better. I just want to get some color in there, you know? This needs to go over here. See how like disorganized I am, guys? Oh my gosh. You know what else? There we go. All right, so you mean he's still going? That looks pretty positive. Let's see. I'm sure that the futures are probably going to try and come back quite a bit, and then kind of we'll see. Okay, now I have a couple of things that I need to change on my chart here. So I am going to, which one was it? Here I had it. It was a tick chart. Yeah, I had it on the 1 minute. Okay, so this one is going to be offers. This one is going to be a bid. And we're going to add the tick to this. See the dollars moving up. Oh, I see I got filled. That's good. Okay. And then on the tick, I got to add a couple of lines here. Let's see here. Line is F6, I think. Oh, let's make sure the text to speech is on here. I'm going to say something here in just a second. I'm sure of it. Okay. Okay. Wow, they turned down there fast. Okay. Not a disaster, though, but they turned down there fast, I think. That last take of 30 was a little too easy. Yeah, I don't know. U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin says 175 billion of coronavirus paycheck protection program has been used so far. Going to see a bunch of news and things about J. Crew filing for bankruptcy. Which I don't know anything about J. Crew, but I'm just like, any companies filing for bankruptcy bad. Okay, they're trying to take it down there. It's not quite getting there. Outside bar. They may want to be starting the discovery process lower. We'll see what happens. Oh, tick the lower there on the 10-year. Oh, did I get... okay, that sucks. Just put one out. I don't know how, but somehow I ended up taking 2 orders. Mnuchin says hard to tell if international travel opens this year. Donald Trump is on the Twitter. Endorsing the lady that's running against Ilhan Omar. Stands like a 0 chance of getting... That lady said 0 chance of winning.
Eric says good morning.
Hey, good morning, Eric. It's Monday. Bear with us. I understand. Oh, man. Okay, well, the E-mini did have a good turn down there, and now they're kind of recovering. The Treasury is having a hard time holding 29.5. They're hitting into it, but yeah, see there now they're hitting 1,000 into it, and they got 13 stacked on top of it, and they take 29. Interesting. And the E-mini's turning back up. Talk about head fake. I wonder if we're just getting a bunch of news headlines coming in here. Seems a little weird for the E-mini to be moving at this time of day and in this manner. Oh man, if this bar turns negative, okay, yeah, that bar in ES just turned negative. Wow. Okay. The fact that the E-mini is so active right now makes me think that they might turn down. Because if it was just going to be like a normal, hey, everything's fine, we're going to buy this up sort of a thing, they've been quiet this time of day. But if they really think that something's wrong, then you would be making your moves now before everybody comes in and realizes and starts trading it down on the open. Oh, interesting. Kumo turned down Trump's invitation to participate in an April press briefing. Can't help him. That's the way it works, folks. You can't help him. If Kumo appeared on a White House press briefing and helped them, that would be the end of Kumo's career. Okay, that one's turning down. Well, they're going to have to get below 2802. gonna hit him? All it would take is one little rush. I don't think they're gonna do that. They're just gonna have to slowly fade down. Well, look at that. We might get filled on that one contract that we accidentally got. I don't know how it got to. I clicked it twice. So like, I don't. Okay, whatever. Hmm. Filled without any fuss, in fact. Now, how does that work? Oh, something's messed up. This must not be including my baked in profit and loss in here. Parents, trade column include close profit and loss. There we go. All right, that's much better. Okay. Well, they broke the 2802. Okay. So now I gotta pull a little further back. And there's gonna be this spot where there was a pretty big upside candle at 27.9850. 27.9850 right there. Okay, New York Fed accepts 18.35 billion of 18.35 billion in bids at overnight repo. Okay. Last week they were doing 0. Today there are more, so I don't think that that's a good sign. Uh, uh, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin says he expects oil markets to rebound. Trump administration is looking for more storage capacity, and he expects China to make good on its trade agreement with the U.S. It will be very significant consequences if they don't. Okay, coming back at tech. They do seem to be reacting to the E-mini, but just in the bid and offer, just like the robots. I don't know if that's a big deal. Yeah. E-mini drops a little bit, they bid it back up. Vice versa. Trading floor audio. What's that last headline about? China as U.S. Treasury Secretary warns China. Expects China to make good on its trade agreement with the U.S. Will be very significant consequences if they're on notice, guys. Panic, everybody sell things. Oh no. Come on. So we're gonna have to go and watch that clip now, because you can see how a news headline, they can just kind of try and clickbait it, and you might not get the context and everything of what he said and how he said it. These contexts are not quite cooperating this morning. Recent days have featured punchy comments from U.S. officials on China, such as Trump, Pompeo, and now Mnuchin. Election risk is back ahead of November, and this might keep a lid on equity upside in addition to COVID-related headwinds, analysts think, says Rand Squawk. All right, let's fix this content. Curiously, when we were seeing some of this on Friday, I think it was, I actually recall the treasuries trading down a little bit. Okay, well, we're getting a shooting star here on the 1 minute chart again. Wow, Australia's coronavirus lockdown will see gross domestic product plunge 10% in the June quarter, the government says. In the June quarter? What? That's a lot. Nope. Thought they were going to go for it in the mini, but nope. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy will join Jake Sherman and A. Palmer, D.C. for a live virtual interview at 10 a.m. on Politico. Stocks in Sweden have taken the biggest hit this morning. OMX S30 futures are lower by 4%. Ooh. Sweden, of course, being the ones that did not enforce any lockdown. Not that they didn't say, hey, don't spread this. They just didn't force it. So I'm going to make a prediction here. 5 years from now, people are still going to be arguing whether Sweden's approach was correct or not. You watch. Some people will find a way to think that it was the best thing ever, and some people will find a way to think that it was an absolute disaster. You would think that being able to look afterwards and seeing the actual outcome, that would change people's minds on things, but it won't. That's my prediction. Not really a groundbreaking prediction, is it? But okay, here they're pushing. They're gonna push. There you go. Well, they breached it, but somebody's trying to hold it. A little bit of a stop run there. So you can see some news outlets still tweeting about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is optimistic about the U.S. economy. Nothing can basically stop America. Sure, but that doesn't mean that it will take a couple of years to recover. Not. I know why he said that, and I read the context of what he said. I just think it's funny the way the news tries to pick the comment up. Because Warren Buffett is trying to say to anybody that thinks that, like, the American empire is finished. Petrodollar, it's collapsing. Mass hysteria everywhere. Well, there is mass hysteria everywhere. But, people thinking that America is going to go bust, probably not going to happen. And for long-term investing, it still makes sense to invest in America. But that doesn't mean that for the next 6 months or a year that things could get really, really bad. Sidney Balcomi and Cole committed process. Oh, cat turd. Why am I reading that? Not that I don't like not that I don't like following and everything, but you guys don't want to hear that. Some of that guy's nonsense sometimes. It's not nonsense. He's just accusing the FBI of targeting Flynn. Not pertinent to. I don't think anybody cares right now. DHS report accuses China of intentionally downplaying coronavirus threat to stock up on medical supplies. I guess I saw that one as well. Oh, yes. Oh, so here's another interesting one. Mike Pence. On second thought, I should have worn a mask. Talking about him going to the Mayo Clinic and not wearing a mask. And I said, well, I think that they're trying to avoid looking weak, but it sounds to me like he feels like he just made an honest mistake. He didn't think it was necessary, but it really was in that context. I get it. You know what? Yesterday, so in my church, we do baby blessings. And of course, we can't do, normally you do it like the first Sunday of the month. But since we're not having church anymore, Bishop came over to our house and we did it over at our house. And my parents had masks, which my parents have been coming over now. Like now that the lockdown's lifted, they're coming over. We're still being really careful because I don't want my parents to catch it. Bishop came over. He's like, well, I have a mask, but he didn't have it on. And like my parents, they started with it on, but then they took them off. Was like, so do we, in this context, does it really even make sense that, like, do we need to, like masks aren't comfortable. Do you ever see, this reminds me of this TikTok where they were showing this scene from The Princess Bride. He's like, why are you wearing a mask? Are you disfigured or something? And he says, no, they're just incredibly comfortable, and I think everybody will be wearing them. And they're like, wait a second. Because everybody is wearing them now, but they're not comfortable. Come on. They're not comfortable. Nobody wants to wear that stuff. So I can totally understand Mike Pence thinking that in that particular place, maybe it didn't need to. Although on the other hand, like it was the Mayo Clinic, like if there's anywhere that you would need to be careful, wouldn't it be like in a medical facility, you know? Anyways. Okay, we're getting some outside bars here again here at the top of the hour. Look at this one. We're gonna get a double outside bar here, in fact.
Eric says, Seth, have you thought about trying to automate a strategy?
Yeah, so I'm always automating strategies actually. A lot of the things that I try are things where like I've been trying something and it seems like it should work, and so I will, and if it's not super heavily based on the level 2, because you can't backtest level 2, right? And if
Big
volume you
Toasty says,
can,
is
but it's
Ninja
kind of
Script
hard.
difficult?
No, NinjaScript's not difficult at all. I especially for me because C# has always been my specialty. So it's just if it has to do with level 2, which a lot of what I do does, then it's not, and that actually is not hard to automate either. It's just you can't backtest it, right? There's not the historical level 2 data. Anyways, so I a lot of these strategies I will build the strategy in NinjaTrader to test the longer term um probabilities of it. If I find something that's maybe marginally okay, then sometimes what I'll do is I'll say, okay, well, there's a little bit of edge with this. If I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the context of everything and it looks good, then I can take that one. And maybe the extra little bit of discretion and read that I can get from the DOM will overcome the shortcomings, because it might be something that's like only has a profit factor of like 1.2 or something like that, right? But I've never done a back test where the results were wildly successful. I can get them to show me stuff that like I can get it like a profit factor of 6, but then when you really dig into the stats, you'll discover that it's not quite what it seems like. That the uh,
Big Toasty says you
outperformance
can
of it.
backtest it with market replay data.
Yeah, market replay is not really very reliable though. I suppose I could do it on a level 2 bot. I might have something coming. I may have discovered something here that I want to do based on that. So maybe we will get into that at some point. But if you're going to do it with market replay data, then why not just run it live, on a demo account? That would be even better anyways, right?
Ask Our Money Machine says NT8 has good backtest based on tick data, so it's pretty good.
You're just not going to like you're not going to take a level 2 indicator and run 2 years of data against it. That's what I'm getting at. So for me, it's like that algorithm either has to be doing something really really complicated that I can't do on my own, right? I guess it could also be going really fast, but in the 10 year, it doesn't really matter usually. It has more to do with can you get filled where you want. Okay, well, we came back 2 ticks even though the
Ask
E-mini
Our
is
Money
lower.
Machine says tick data for futures only for 2 years.
Yeah, well, you can get the volume data, sure, Askar. But here's the issue I've had with the volume data is I'll like backtest it, and then like I'll backtest it on Friday, and then I'll be like happy with it, and then I come back to work on it again on Monday, and it's giving me different data even though I haven't changed anything. So I'm not sure what causes that, but that makes me a little bit skeptical of the how effective a backtest is on volume, like volume replay kind of things. Tick replay rather. Mm-mm. So it's like something changes or something. But I don't know. I mean, people will come and show me strategies, and I've programmed a lot of strategies. I mean, I've programmed a lot of strategies. They're usually not super complicated, but I've never found anything that was really so successful that it was worth just focusing on that rather than continuing to try and build my read. So that I continue to work on it. And like I said, I do have something that I've been seeing in level 2, a new way of filtering it that I can't really do on my own that may be worth taking. But I'm also really want to get into systems that are much more complicated. Like, for instance, we've been talking about the risk management perspective. As retail traders, risk management is usually we want to make 8 ticks on a trade, and max I'm willing to lose is 4 ticks, and this is the average win rate that I tend to get, and it turns out positive, right? But I feel like that outlook on risk is a very linear, and I don't think that that's the way that the markets work. Markets are fractal, and so you have to find some way of creating a fractal model that states that once you've gotten so far, it's going to come back on you. And what is the risk reward of holding through that pullback and then waiting for the next run up after that? And I don't really have a way of calculating that right now. And we could maybe make a machine learning system that could maybe get into that, or something where there's just going to be like a ton of rules and a scoring system and some, I really want to do something like really, truly complicated rules that are beyond my ability to know what it's going to do. Right? Like when I'm looking at my trading systems, I have like a couple of indicators on the chart, and I say, okay, this is where it should get in, and this is where it should get in.
Air Cages says Tesla stock price is too high.
Oh my gosh, Air Cages he just comes in and he wants to start some noise again. You know what? It is too high. I think that Tesla probably should be like $600. I don't know if he's allowed to say things like that though. I guess he's doing everybody a favor by telling them that they're overpricing it, but that guy. Hitting it at 31, but not quite going. Okay. And the E-mini goes down again. And they got below that green. That is a solid short. The 27.98.50. I think that we're gonna have another pretty good push. I think that probability of us trading below 27.96.50 after taking that last take there is pretty high. Anyways, but something that when I'm sitting here and I'm looking at all of my indicators and charts and everything, I would not be able to calculate what the algorithm is going to do. Maybe that means I need to get into some machine learning stuff. I don't know. Okay. Car. Fitch downgrade Starbucks to
Big
triple
Toasty
B.
says, how can I use order flow for my strategies? You cannot access the indicator of NinjaScript winking face.
Well, yeah. So something that I've been doing that I find really useful, I can show you here.
Ask Our Money Machine says you should read Book of Marco Lopez de Prado.
Okay, we'll look that up in a second. So I have these histograms down here that kind of tell me some things about the level 2, like whether we're overall positive and negative. If you look in the lower right, you can see how we had this strong move down, and then there was some larger orders were placed on the DOM, and that's the basis for the trade. So you can kind of allows you to look at it historically, but you don't necessarily have to have histograms. Okay, but the key thing is that you want to, if you notice something, like let's just say that we're watching the overall number of bids and the overall number of offers and seeing which one is higher at any given time and how it's moving. And we notice something weird in that happens when at a key point that we're interested in trading in. You got to record it and record it over a period of like 2 weeks just to see how it behaves. And then if you see some statistics within that data, you might be able to make a trade out of it. And that's how it works. What I think a lot of people try to do is you'll just look at it, which it's a good thing to just look at it. But if you're just looking at it and then hoping that somehow your brain will, somehow figure out something that you're not even aware of, and I don't know, that some people do that over years, but the chances of you becoming a successful trader off of that is extremely low, because what you're naturally going to see, the things that are going to stand out to you, to the human brain just from watching it,
Big
are
Toasty
things
says
that
thanks.
they've already taken, are things that they've already taken the edge out of. Usually, they're usually too obvious. So you really need to like dig into stats and try and find something that is maybe counterintuitive, right? Like a good trade is you start gathering data on something and it tells you something that you never suspected. And then you do the calculations out and you find that that's profitable. That's the best trades. So but overall, the things that I would say if you're new, look at is first of all, and I think it's really, really most effective here in the treasuries, but you want to think of it as like, okay, here's the bid and the offer, okay? But that's not really the bid and the offer, okay? There is buyers down here. Sellers are not as interested down here at the moment. So far, we've been mostly been buying, okay, because we're at the bid. The offer, he's somewhere up here. Like the big guys that really want to sell it, they're somewhere up here. And so you want to watch, where did the buyers start absorbing it? Where did the sellers start absorbing it? And figure out what is the true spread. Like what is the gap in between where you have to work for your market making, right? And then you want to look at things like, how easy is it for them to clear a price? So here at 31, okay, they were able to clear that with 1,000, which is about standard. If we had traded up and it only took 200 contracts and then I was seeing 1,600 stacked there, that would be incredibly bullish. When they trade through it really easily and then they stack really easily, right? And you're just kind of trying to get a feel for how quickly does it move around. Okay, we must have some news in here. So E-mini is just going wild all of a sudden. Boom, 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 boom. I didn't see like a sweep, but it's definitely going. Okay. I don't see anything on Twitter yet. Probably something on the news squawks. Curious. Well, it was definitely something that was bullish, right? Treasuries take a tick down. That sucks. Well, they did pump up, but it was only just like a retrace of the move down from the past 30 minutes. Fed says they expect to start buying eligible ETFs in early. What? You've got to be kidding me. Have to think about this. The Federal Reserve is going to buy ETFs. What makes them eligible? What makes an ETF eligible?
Bot says good morning.
So John, the piece of news that we just saw was the Federal Reserve expects to start buying eligible ETFs in early May. Was that something that they had already talked about? I seem to recall hearing of this idea earlier. That seems to me like that would be a significant piece of news. It would create a reaction like this, but I would actually expect that to create an even larger reaction than what we've seen. I don't know. I suppose that means that treasuries can continue to stay bid, but
Bot says I thought he mentioned it at his last press conference.
yeah, okay. What would make an ETF eligible though? We haven't really discussed this, and it's probably going to be an important thing, right? We're going to do quantitative easing. The way that we're going to do it is with ETFs. I don't know how I feel about that. Something about that makes me incredibly uncomfortable. Would that be effective? So I feel that I don't think that you want to put money in the whole market.
Gary Rich says it's not the ETF itself, it's the products inside them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to put money into the ETF and then it's going to move up the components of it, right? But I just don't feel like that we should really be pumping everything up. I think that it should be that investors should be putting money into the businesses that are smart and successful and will be successful in the next rung, and that there's some companies that probably need to go away. One of the ones that I like, J. Crew's today going out of bankruptcy, that makes sense to me. I don't think that the business model for the high-end clothing retailer really makes a whole lot of sense anymore.
Bot says the thinking might be that so many pensions funds and IRA accounts are holding them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you're saying the Federal Reserve wants to do it into ETFs because that's where the regular guy's retirement is, and our first priority will be protecting their retirement. Okay, so there's a big order showed up at 31. I never got a click. Yeah, I never got a click as they added it, but they're adding on there. So notice the offer is weak, but they're not hitting it. So the New York Fed releases additional information on primary market, secondary market, corporate credit facilities.
Gary Rich says it bots. Yep, that's right. Pension plans underfunded by 10 trillion, up from '08 at 3 trillion.
And they're not gonna. Get out of that. It's unfortunate. Actually, probably when we started seeing that there was something going on, we maybe should have done. Do you think that was what made the market jump up like this, though? Or maybe it was just a coincidence? I don't know if that was it. I mean, the Fed's saying something about it now, though. How did they? Oh, well, let's click this live squawk link. Did they give more details here? I don't know. Man, the responses to this are like, this is beyond unethical, immoral, and wrong. It's criminal. Here's the thing. I think I brought this up Friday, but it keeps coming to mind, and I can't shake this argument. And it was from Jeffrey Gunlong, who has been making a short call on the market that I believe is irresponsible.
Ciao como esta says hi.
I'm bearish right now, but I don't really know what's going to happen, and I couldn't get on CNBC and say
Gary
something
Rich
like
says
that.
jump, it was a hiccup. These markets are gonna trade back and forth. Earnings are not gonna save this rally.
Anyways, I really think he's making a short that sounds irresponsible. I couldn't make a call like that going on CNBC.
Bot says, did the Fed actually say it just now, or is it just being noticed by the Twitterverse, etc.?
It was tweeted by Live Squawk, so they're the only one I'm seeing saying anything about it, though, so I don't know. It might be something in this New York Fed release. I don't know. Anyways, the argument that Jeffrey made, though, was if these measures have been so effective that the market is now stabilized and we can move back to all-time highs, why are they still necessary? And I can't shake that. They can't pull out away the support, because if they did, the stock market would probably collapse. Which means that probably we pumped too much liquidity in the system, and it's causing equity market inflation. That's what I think right now. And now they're saying that they need to buy ETFs. Like, the stock market, it's going, and we need to buy ETFs. How can the market stay here if that's the case? How could they, if the Federal Reserve came in today and said, we're buying ETFs today, I would be like, what? Like, why would you buy here? Makes no sense. So that's kind of what's been going through my head. Yeah, I wish I had gotten out of that 10-year trade a little earlier. See, the thing is that there's probably a reason for treasuries to remain high here. So I think that when we come down and we find the bid, that it's worth taking along, and we probably could have gotten more out of that. But if their Federal Reserve is going to be doing things like buying ETFs, then the market may start to demand a higher interest rate, because they just start to say they're taking on too much debt, Michigan governor says protests depicted some of the worst racism and awful parts of our history. There's been so much stuff going on in Michigan with their governor. I'm a little surprised with it being a swing state that the governor is doing as much as they are. But what she does and the way that people are reacting to it in Michigan are going to be really, and like the election could literally hinge on that. Like if people feel like that the Michigan governor was too heavy-handed. What was the story? Let's see here. Oh, here was one about the New Mexico governor shutting down everything, and I'm sitting here like, is it really that? Is New Mexico seeing a Russian coronavirus cases that we need to shut the city down? Well, I don't see anything recent about it, but I know that I've seen a lot of complaining from coming out of Michigan on like Reddit and so forth. Okay, well, Treasury's down a good clip. That offer that they put out there did its job and made them come down. The E-mini not quite able to make the overnight high. So we'll see what they do on the open in the E-mini. Carnival plans phase in North American services beginning August 1st. Really? Okay. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, who is going to go on a cruise in August? Whatever. Okay, so I just noticed there was a little bit of a sweep there. They both got swept, but the micros went down a little bit more.
Gary Rich says again, throw logic, reason and common sense out the window. It's a new environment, anything goes. Get cynical thinking, then it makes sense.
Well, I just don't think that the guys over at the Federal Reserve are stupid. They have to know that buying ETFs at all-time highs doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right? Like the market is, if there's a real weakness in how do I put this? You don't bet against the Fed. The Fed always wins. But if there was a situation where the Fed would lose, the market will sniff it out, and it will be absolute chaos. And I mean, absolute chaos. Like that we get stops. Like we hit the limits on the indexes every day for 3 weeks, and they change the rule or they shut things down. Like it would be mayhem. I don't think that the current situation necessarily justifies mayhem. I just think that probably we need to come down a little bit and then drive sideways until we've seen like a true recovery. Okay, so there you go. On the open up. Very short-lived. Trading down. Okay. Overall negative now. By about 3,000 contracts. Oh, and that initial swing pushes out the last swing that we had. So it's definitely game on both sides.
Bot says none of the Fed sites I normally look at have anything in the press release sections this morning about this ETF buyback scheme you mentioned.
Okay. I mean, here was the tweet that I was reading out. So you might be right. They might be repeating an old headline or something.
Speculator Seth Day Trading says.
Okay.
Gary Rich says a truism taught to me long ago. The Fed can remain liquid longer than anyone can remain illiquid. So true.
Well, I don't think that if that were to happen, that it would be about somebody remaining liquid, right?
Kevin Wimmer says, do you think they use overnight levels for support, resist, or just to hunt stops, or do you think it gets ignored?
I don't know, Kevin. I'm not sure I 100% understand what you're asking. They definitely will just hunt stops, and I don't know how they do it. Sometimes you just see a sweep, man. I did some studying over the weekend about sweeps because I saw this guy on Reddit. And he was saying, oh, you shouldn't trade the micro futures because they hunt the stops, and you'll do better if you trade the main one. And he's, because it ruins the price action signals that you get are wrong on the micro as opposed to the ES. And I'm like, what? Like, if something like that is messing you up, probably you just shouldn't be trading equity futures. And he's like, well, I've been doing it for a month, and I'm sitting here like, okay, you've only been trading for a month, futures for a month. Like, you have no fucking clue what you're talking about, man. Like really, there are people out there that have been trading this for years and years and years, and they wouldn't be as confident in saying something like that. So I went and I did the stats, and it's true. You will get a stop run of more than a point, like a
Kevin
run where.
Wimmer says, I wanted to know if you think they care about the levels of the overnight session, like the swing highs and lows
Sure.
before the open.
Totally, I think they do. I think that the overnight open, overnight high and low are all levels that people are looking at. How much of an edge is actually in looking at those levels, I can't say. Anyways, so I did a study where I just looked at over 1 second. Was there a difference between the two of them?
RJ Wheel says he heard the phrase hunting for stops and wanted to use it in a sentence. That's all that happened there. Gary Rich says see Buffett offload airline stake and airlines dropping now. That's not manipulative, that's markets.
Well, he probably already dropped it though, right? Anyways, so I went and I did the study, and it turns out a difference between the micro and the ES of more than a point within a second time frame is extremely common. And I have seen, and there have been events that have been up to 70 ticks difference, which means that in 1 second, ES moved like 2 ticks, and the micros moved 70 ticks. That has happened. But it happens the other way too, where the ES moves and the micros don't. It happens more often in the micros, but it happens in both sides. And the general conclusion that I have based off of that data is that there are going to be like crazy runs, and that if you have like a 4 to 8 tick stop in ES, that a really good portion of the time you're just going to get taken out, and that you'll probably get some slippage on it. Anyways, it was interesting. It was an interesting study.
Bot says I think they just turn the machines on and give them a simple instruction: sell or buy.
Well, the way that a lot of the algorithms at Goldman Sachs worked was just we need to buy so much of it, and so you would just tell it buy 20,000, and then they would let it go, and it would buy it. Seth forgot to short again.
Air Cages says money printers go burr. Air Cages says Seth forgot to short again. Gary Rich says we
No.
dragging down. These airlines are in the Dow, some down 12 to 13% now.
So this first impulse being negative, I read is very, very bearish. But my treasuries aren't getting a boost. I don't want to take it in the E-mini, not yet, Air Cages. We can give it another 10 minutes. Somehow we're still positive on the day in the E-mini, so. We're very, very close, though. 2789 is the number. 2789.
Air Cages says let's just wait for the momentum to die down before taking a trade.
Well, I don't want to trade in the what is the word? The most volatile portion of the day. My stop is just going to get hit, even if I'm right here.
Gary Rich says treasuries are dead, DOA not worth trading. They are pinned and not worth the effort.
I think that I can get 4 ticks out of it. You don't think so? I mean, they came back from 05. If they were to go back up to 05, that would be an awesome trade for me. I don't know if they'll go all the way back up, but I think at least 02 up to here. Absolutely.
Air Cages says Seth, I think you're missing out on the best trades by being scared to trade volatility. Just my opinion.
Well, then why didn't you trade it? Because I'm not going to trade in something
Bot
where...
says yeah, but Buffet is already out. They're just reporting now that he started unloading back in January. The reaction today is just retail flushing after they heard about Buffet. Airlines have been hit.
You're totally right, John. I totally agree with you.
Air Cages says I am trading it, lol.
Bot says hard by the pandemic.
Sebastian Marquez says bye bye bye. Hi Seth.
Yeah, I don't take trades in area where the market is moving more in a second than what my stop is. I'm just not going to do that. That's stupid. Even if you have a profitable strategy, the chances of your stop getting hit are so high that you're just going to bleed money. But you're a scalper, doesn't matter. You got a scalp in action that's favorable.
Air Cages says but you're a scalper.
And that open is not favorable.
Air Cages says it's called trading.
Not the open. But would need a much bigger bankroll and
Gary
much
Rich
bigger
says
stop
well the 13F13D filings showed this on Buffett and many.
Yeah. I agree with John that probably the selling of airlines is probably just people reacting to Buffett saying that he sold them, which is kind of like silly because he said that he was selling them a long time ago anyways. Like, it's not even news.
Bot says actually I think Seth is a counter trend trader.
Well, I'm counter everything, aren't I? I don't want to sell the E-mini yet. Here, that's the thing is like, okay, like they sold down. They've not crossed the line at which I'm like, hey, you can just pick a spot and sell it, right? If I sell it right here at 92, okay, well, maybe they'll go. But they could just as easily trade back up to 27.98, right? That's 6 points. That's pretty far.
Bot
That's
says
further
a little,
than myself.
yeah, counter everything.
Yeah. My tendency is always the opposite, for sure. But it's kind of weird though because the trades where I do really well are not counter trend trades.
Air Cages says the slower the market, the more manipulated and the less predictable it becomes from my experience.
Well, that's true, but there's a sweet spot, right? We don't want it to be probably the first 15 minutes of the open. Generally, we don't want to be involved in. But then after that,
Bot says cool.
see, he knows. John knows what I'm looking at here. And he sees it too. They went and touched the area where we would be like, okay, like they're really, really going to sell this, and they're bouncing. So they could bounce back up, and then maybe we could get a short again. And then if we get a second wave, then they go and they break that. That could be a really, really good trade. But right now, your risk reward, I don't think is very good, unless you really want to buy it, which is against the trend, and it's not really what we want to do. By the way, the tick started like super negative. It's about to go positive. Weren't we doing 600? Why do I have it 200? It should be, should have my lines at 600 and 400. -6. -4. 4. And 6. And yes, auto scale all of these.
Bot says all I know for certain is they have not yet put in a pivot low in the S on a 1-minute chart.
You're correct. Could be close though. Would not take very much for them to do it here. In fact, nope, not quite. Maybe if they bust 94.
Bot says, and until that happens, they can still trade lower.
Yeah. Well, the sellers are fighting it. It's kind of interesting when I see some of these things that like we know kind of matter. I look at the DOM and I can see that one side is actively trying to prevent it from happening. Because they know that like if it happens that the probabilities flip on them. Well, they're trying to make it out and they're not doing it. There we go. Come on. Yep. Oh, nope. It's still, they didn't quite do it. They came a tick short. They came a tick short right there, John. Oh my gosh.
Gary Rich says I enjoy when those say earnings don't impact futures. I laugh my ass off and roll around.
Bot says lol.
You've seen people say that before? I don't think I've ever seen people say that before. They 100% like seem to know sometimes when certain big earnings are coming along and front run it through futures. 100%. Okay.
Gary Rich says there are a lot of dummies out there.
Well, yeah, it was like I was saying, I was talking to a guy on Reddit that he's been doing it for a month and he thinks he has it figured out. I hope it works out for him. But my experience with seeing a lot of traders come and go is that kind of person is the type that will fall the hardest when it comes. And you have to wonder, especially if it's been the past month, like, hey, if all you did was buy, it probably would come out pretty okay. You're trading ES, right? And then if we really started downturn, those guys would get pummeled. Okay. So close again. Okay, but I think that they're gonna confirm it this time. Yeah. Okay. I'll put that there. This is making me a little. The fills up here at 30 are not quite what I would like to see. Well, so they did confirm a pivot low on the 1 minute chart, and almost immediately they confirmed a pivot high. The next bar that was a confirmed pivot high. So yeah, that's not what we want.
Bot says ES confirmed a pivot low at 2788.50. MES hasn't managed to confirm one yet.
Did it not confirm it on MES? The thing that I found was like when you're looking at a 1 second, they're almost always 2 ticks different. Almost always. See that. See, 29.5 might have been an okay place to have taken this.
RJ Wheel says VWAP 95.25. Tight area. Smash the Bid says at air cages you couldn't be more wrong about that. The more liquid the better the precision.
Well, there is this kind of market where it's like it's really slow and it looks like there's a lot of liquidity, but then the liquidity will just all pull on you. You know what I mean? So I definitely get what he says where that when it gets slow, you kind of get in these situations where you just get screwed over and over again. But I don't think that on the open is where you really want to make your plays unless, at least not with the way that we're trading it.
RJ Wheel says she can say it.
Maybe you should do it V-WAP. Like,
Speculator Seth Day Trading says VWAP.
this is bad. I turned my attention away for just a moment, and then so it's okay. Let's just wait.
Bot says MES confirmed a pivot low at 2,788.50 on the 951 bar.
Yeah. So
Gary
now they're
Rich
coming
says
back
low
into
liquidity,
buy.
high liquidity price moves up or down on both. Period.
Well, it depends. Yeah, there's the liquidity, and then there's the velocity of the market, right? We've seen high liquidity, low velocity markets, and we've seen high liquidity, high velocity markets. The high liquidity, high velocity market is very rare. I can only think of one time in the treasuries when we really saw it, and it was like the beginning of last year when we were like all-time highs in liquidity and was actually moving quite a bit, and then that was kind of started the bull run in treasuries. Okay, well, the
HEXMAN says €5 and 49 cents from HEXMAN. Good morning,
thank you
Seth.
so
It should
much.
Anthony winking face. Market might have a new crash this week. Warren Buffett big sale out. Please, could you study Hex?
Oh, did you change your name to Hex, man? That's hilarious, dude. Oh, that's great. So you've made some decent money from the Hex, huh?
HEXMAN says it's Anthony.
That's great, dude. By the way, where is Bitcoin today?
HEXMAN says lol.
We're still about where they were. See now, so here's the like.
HEXMAN says yup.
Do you want to sell the E-mini now? It's in a good spot to do it. I don't think that I have enough things to sell it here. If anything, I should buy it, and we're way late on buying it. Like I could have bought it at like $27.97 maybe, but yeah, we've still got this open price up here at what 28.04. So let's see how they react to that. If that gets rejected, they could come back down hard. And Treasury is getting hit here. I do think that somewhere around here we're going to find some support.
Smash the Bid says higher liquidity equals easier to pinpoint prices.
Yes. I would say smash the bid. It's easier to pinpoint prices, but it's harder to pinpoint short-term direction. That's the problem I have. I think on that one, I actually really saw what was going on, and I did not react fast enough. Should have just when I got out of that first trade, I could have gone short. Okay, well, it's all sorts of crazy up in here, and I'm not 100% sure which way to take it. One thing I am noticing is that there's a lot of dollar correlation again. They're gonna bust the open? Okay. You know what? How come I'm not getting the chirp?
HEXMAN says on the 19th of November it will be Super Payday. Equivalent of double halvening, price and bags for the HODLERS should be pumping like crazy. We are only halfway, I let you imagine.
Why the 19th of November? Okay. Well, kind of lost track of what I was doing there, but I know what I want.
Bot says anything above 2789.00 is positive on the daily and weekly time frames.
Yeah. Do I see the treasury turn in there? Yeah, support again. And you can see that, like, the drop that happened, they didn't actually trade the volume. They pulled the rug.
Bot says in the micro ES the Globex Open was 2793.00.
Oh, was it? So my chart has it like 2789 was the price that I was looking for, and look, they came right down to it and came back. Now they're going to test the open. Question is going to be, are they going to blow through the open, or are they going to turn back down? They're being shy about it already, so that kind of makes me lean towards that they're going to turn back down, but the overall context of everything makes me think that they're going to go higher. Okay, there you go. They are taking it. Let's see if they build some support here now. Not quite. I'm seeing more like fighting than I am support. I need to breathe. My nose feels a little hot. Might be having allergies. Wow. So many people watching today. Thank you guys all for stopping by. If you could do me a favor and hit that like button, I really appreciate it. This isn't too serious. We're just kind of having fun here. I'm not like the most amazing trader in the world or anything like that, but I think we have a really great community here. We have some guys in chat that really know their stuff and they're worth talking to. And when you hit that like button, it really helps the community out. So thank you very much. There you go. Oh, so many people. Thank you so much. That's great. So they're above the open. I think I might just right here.
Bot says you put a trade on and we'll hit the like button.
There you go. Oh, okay. Fine. I'll put a trade on there. I put it on. Come on, hit it. Oh, they did. They did. Okay, cool. We're good. Well, now, where can they go from here? 28, 14, 50? If we were to be so lucky, I think that I would have to take profit up there, but okay, so a little profit taking there, 28.08.
Bot says LSE open was 2,809.75.
So I'm noticing
Gary Rich says everyone is freaking out about the Fed. People freak out by what they are capable of doing. Get a grip.
Oh, let's move this up. All right. Well, it's bullish news, right? It's like, hey, you got all these guys. They're looking for an open below the previous day, right? Like we got today. We've actually been getting it more, but if you noticed how they're always able to eke something out higher, it's never quite like they never quite get what they want to like turn it into short city again. That was probably like not the most efficient exit, but 16 ticks is good. I think they're going to come back a little bit. This is like my immediate thought is, should I hold it for the higher?
Algo Lover says HAGD. Thumbs up.
Hey, Algo Lover. How I didn't see your numbers. Did you post numbers earlier? I just didn't notice. There's lots of people on here, so now would be a good time to give you numbers. Oh, actually, you know what? I should go and do my numbers. What is it? Trading view. Yes, of course. I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, 20. That's good. There's gonna be pullback. I shouldn't get out, right? We need to look into this a bit more. $28.09. Yeah, right there.
Algo Lover says 9:09 a.m. Algo Lover S if sellers sustain offer below 2,826, then 2,751 target. If 2,826 goes bid first, then anticipate squeeze higher nerd face.
Okay. So I'm just looking at like my targets, and I see below us 2770 or so, and 2840. I'm kind of rounding here. 40, that's actually like way out there.
Algo Lover says here's the bounce to test for seller's face with rolling eyes.
Yeah, I probably let my nervousness get the best of me there. So let's oh hey. Okay. There's definitely a cluster right there at 10.
Algo Lover says Friday 9:24 a.m. Algo Lover CL buyers have 21.50 target. If sellers fail to defend 20.60 up here nerd face still valid.
CL. Oh, you know what? We have this chart down here we're even paying attention to. We should move so we can see oil. Oil's moving higher. Hey, they made it back to 20. Remember when I said, hey, I bet you they make it back to 20? I feel good about that. I feel good about that call. Easy call. Tough to hold, but easy call. Hmm. Seller's really trying here, it seems. Darn. I guess my initial nervousness was correct. But I don't necessarily have anything like to directly get me out of that other than me being finicky. You know what I mean? So okay. Ooh, is this turned into an outside bar? Yes, it does. Okay. Okay. So buyer is willing to push it a little bit. That might be actually stop runs there at like 28.08. Ooh. They were like just about to get going, and then the guy that brought us up there dumped. Treasuries are dumping again.
Gary Rich says central banks have to not want to do anything possible to keep markets afloat. Arguing over why or not fair is useless, they will do it anyways. Always have and always will.
Well, whether it's fair is definitely a silly question. The question is whether it's responsible. I'm concerned about the long-term impacts on markets of this. Buying ETFs, I'm not so sure that that's like what? Other people aren't doing it, so you're going to do it for them. That's basically what they're saying, right? I should stop touching my face. 2010, 2013. Well, the upside target is up there. I mean, I think we probably will get there. I don't know if I'm going to hold all the way
Gary
through
Rich
to
says
that.
Japan has been doing this for 20 years. Their markets are fine. Their citizens are hurting, but markets okay.
Well, so first of all, has Japan been buying ETFs? And second of all, I mean, kind of what's been happening in Japan is exactly the sort of thing I'm worried about, right? It's like you could prevent the markets from collapsing, but you just create a generational slow growth. That's the end. The end result is lower GDP, right?
Gary Rich says yes, ETFs and bonds.
Okay, so they have been buying ETFs. Well, I know that they were buying bonds.
Roby Mani says as asset sell on 2,812 level.
Well, my upside target, again, for the day, regular session is around 2840. That's where I would expect to go if we continue this up move. If it fails and we go down, then my downside target is 2770. But given the way that open worked and everything like that, I'm I would venture to guess that we're probably going to trade up for the rest of the day. It might be a real slow going, so.
Bot says 10:15 to 10:45 counter trend period begins.
Yes, you're right. Context of the counter trend period today is a little bit different, though, isn't it? Because they're starting to
Gary Rich says we
continue
call this type of behavior by central banks financial repression. Not my quote, but a great one.
financial repression. Is I mean, I guess this is why it bothers me, because they're lying to us. Or well, maybe the Federal Reserve isn't lying to us, but I feel like that the market is lying to me. It's up. We keep going up, but then the Federal Reserve is pumping all of this money into the system. Why would they have to do that if everything was so great? You know? Like if everything was so great, then they did their job and the job is done and they shouldn't be doing anymore. So something is not in line. Somebody's lying. I feel like somebody's lying to me. Oh, that was pretty good. They're running pretty good now.
RJ Wheel says this might have the power to get to 836.
Notice they're just pulling on the ask. That's going to be a confirmed pivot, probably. Okay. I don't know how this little spot's going to play out. There's definitely some stuff going on here.
Gary Rich says when Uncle Powell and Cousin Munchin pump enough sugar into the punch bowl, eventually many get diabetes of the market.
Diabetes of the market. What? Oh, man. Well, I'm thinking I could maybe take another one. That sell that we had that buy that we had that didn't work out. That was really unfortunate. The one at 28.10. So here's another thing, Gary. This is the thing that probably bothers me most of all. Like, honestly, I'm trying. I think I'm done trading, so I feel like I can talk about this now. And I'm just gonna let loose a little bit if I could. Okay, so there's a lot of people watching. Maybe we can do something crazy to make them think, "Oh, this guy's crazy. Maybe we shouldn't watch." Like, here's the thing. We just had this amazing collapse. I mean, really, when we were back down there at the lows, it was unreal. Hitting the price limits every day. The amount of volatility, it was like one gigantic flash crash that lasted for a month. And it was so weird to trade. And now we're moving back up. And we're still seeing a lot of crazy things happen. For instance, the thing with the oil contracts, right? And when all of these crazy things are happening, and I go on Facebook or I go on Reddit and I look at the trading subreddits on Reddit, what do I see? I see all of these new guys that don't know anything about trading. Hey, how do I trade oil? Like, really, dude? Like, this contract, it unprecedented selling, it goes down below zero. Your first thought is, hey, I should trade this thing. Forget that it's like the most volatile instrument. It's really, like, honestly, oil, experts only. Seriously, if you're new, don't start in oil. Unless you have some sort of an edge, like you know stuff about the oil industry that makes you really good at predicting price movements in oil. Man, that thing is so hard to trade. And there are so many people. I want to trade it. There's these guys posting on the Facebook group. Oh, my broker won't let me trade it. Does your broker let you trade it? Does your broker? And they were saying this like every day, all last week. Like, dude, your broker is saving you from yourself. You are too. If you have to ask why the broker is not letting us trade it,
someone has to lose money. The market needs them.
Right? It's just insane. But if your broker is stopping you from trading it, that's a pretty good clue that you just shouldn't trade it. That action is not for you, man. Like seriously. And I go on like just my regular Facebook feed. I see so many people. They want to invest. So here we are. We're in what's supposed to be a depression. And you know what I'm seeing? I am seeing max cocktail theory. You know what the cocktail theory is? Peter Lynch, I have the book over here. It's over in the other room. Peter Lynch, he wrote a book, and one of the things in the book that he says is that he would go to a cocktail party, and it used to be nobody wanted to talk about the stock market. And then the people came more open, and then he went to a party, and like 5 people came to him and said, hey, you should buy this stock. Like, this is the best stock to buy. And he says when people are starting to give him, advice on how to invest or how to trade, then that's like you're close to the peak. And he went home and he sold everything, and the markets turned down, and he made a ton, and that's part of what makes him so legendary. He has like the best mutual fund performance of anybody. Maybe not, but I mean he's consistent over a 20-30 year period or something. It's just amazing how effective that guy was. And that was one of the things that he looked at. And what are we seeing? We already had a market peak, and we're getting it now. All of these guys. I got on Reddit, and this was the one that I was talking about earlier. I got on Reddit, and somebody was complaining about the stop runs that you'll get in the micros. And I was explaining to them, well, they happen in the ES all the time too. And they're like, well, I've been doing it for a week and it's working out for me. Dude, it's a freaking week. Like, are you kidding me? I have guys here in this chat room that are amazing traders. Absolutely way better traders than myself. And they've been trading 10 years or more. And they might come in and have a month and lose a ton of money. It happens. And I've seen guys that have been trading 20 years and had to stop trading. Like it freaking happens. These markets can just absolutely destroy you. And here we got these people on Reddit. They think that 1 week's worth of performance tells them everything that they need to know about the instrument. Like, how dumb. It's like, how can anybody that, you shouldn't be trading. You shouldn't be trading. If you're that dumb, you shouldn't be trading. And yet they're everywhere. I see them every day. You would think that me, being in a YouTube channel, we trade futures, and we're in terms of live futures trading, I think there are definitely some bigger channels than us. And I don't necessarily want to be huge, but we're doing pretty good, 50 people. And you would think that I would be happy about it, but I'm not. I'm not happy about it because there shouldn't be this many people interested in it. It doesn't make any sense. It's not just that it doesn't. No, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, but it's a bad thing. When you see this, it's a bad thing. We are terrible financial straits, and everybody wants to come in and get involved in the market now. Man. And why is it going up? Because the Federal Reserve. It says to me that the Federal Reserve has pumped so much money into the system that people are getting it now, and they finally have that risk capital, and they want to go and waste it all in the markets. That's kind of how I'm feeling.
305,790 says, Seth, I'm new to the channel but not new to futures, and you are so right. Tell them to donate their money to the pros with that kind of thinking.
Right. Well, I mean, they shouldn't complain because they're just people to trade against, I guess. But, it always makes me, I know how many people lose money trying to trade futures, And when I see people that I think are particularly likely to lose, it really makes me, it kind of makes me unhappy.
Gary Rich says, Seth, I know. It's so funny. They want to jump in the deep end, and we know what happens.
Oh, yeah.
I read those posts.
It's
Simon
so crazy.
Todd says, lol.
It's so crazy.
Luis Alarid says, my coworkers keep asking me, is this the time to invest in the markets? I told them I think that the markets have gifted everyone with very cheap stocks.
Well, if you're in, the one thing I will say is that if you're investing on a high time horizon, then you could buy stocks now, and you're probably going to be okay. And I do think that we're moving more into a stock pickers market. There's probably going to be some companies that do really well, and there's going to be some companies that do really poorly. At the same time, though, Amazon warning, if anybody should be doing well right now, it should be Amazon, right? And they were warning people on the second quarter earnings. So, and Elon Musk coming in and saying that the Tesla stock is overbought. I watched this TikTok of this guy, and he built a balance sheet, made a couple of predictions about how much they could do in sales and things like that. And even with their most optimistic predictions, they were hitting 600 on Tesla. And we were at what, 700-800? I don't know if the whole market is going to have to turn down, but there are definitely parts of the market that are overbought. Definitely. But if you have a high enough time horizon, it probably doesn't matter. But I think that there's going to be some better prices. I think that, you sell in May, go away. There's going to be another little dip here in the summer. I shouldn't make a prediction like that. When I make a prediction like that, I get worried somebody's going to say, well, Seth says, and then you're going to go out and trade off of it. Don't do that, okay? Trade off of your own edges. And I also don't want people to be well, if we just buy all summer. You were wrong, Seth. Actually, if that's what happens, then come and do that. If that's what happens and we don't have a little bit of a downturn during the summer between now and say September, then come back and say, hey, Seth, you were dead wrong. Wouldn't be the first time that I've been dead wrong, right? I think the worst one was when I said that the China trade deal is probably not going to happen. And then in the course of a week, it completely flipped around and happened. I was like, what? Oh, man. I don't think I'll ever be more wrong than that. But anyways, that's my rant. Whew. I feel a little bit better. And it makes me, it's good to know that I'm not the only person seeing this.
305,790 says Seth really liked this live stream.
Oh, I appreciate
I hit the
it.
like. Thank you for doing this. Luis Alarid says they know I have trading the markets for a while and now they are now master traders. It's an ego buster. They say it's easy to trade the stock market.
No. Well, the thing that is so crazy, it's and I keep going back to this idea. I think that my concept of what a fractal risk is, I understand how markets are fractal, but I don't know how to apply that math in order to take some edge out of it. And you need to do some, and I have this idea of how it would, and the reality might not be anything close to what I think it is. But I think that there's this thing where when you have an input into the market, a small change can create a chain reaction of events that just causes everything to completely blow up. And so what is likely to happen to you is you could have a strategy that you just like always come in and buy and hold it every day. And over a certain time period, that would work really well. And you're going to get a bunch of retail traders that they're going to catch it and they're going to see that. They're just going to come in and buy it. But then because of the fractal nature of things, when that strategy falls apart, it's going to fall apart hard. It's going to lose literally every time. And when they lose, they're going to lose a ton of money doing it. So what happens is the market builds up and you get this group of people that think that they're such great
Gary
traders.
Rich says can't prevent or save people from losing money in the markets. Not enough aspirin for those headaches.
No, you're totally right, Gary. You cannot make decisions for other people, and you really shouldn't try. I mean, if it was my job to make sure that everybody in the markets knew what they were doing, and I was able to properly educate everybody to the level at which I think that they should be educated. And I'm honestly not even sure that I am educated to the level that I think that one should really be educated to be trading futures. It's kind of like, I know there are gaps still there. It's like, when do you take it off? I took that last trade off pretty what was the last won't tell me what the last ask was. It was up there though. It was like 19. It was almost 19, yeah. So it was up at the top. What if I hadn't gotten out of that? And when do you take it off? And I'm still having a hard time figuring out what the most, building up that edge in the risk management and when to take it off and how to deal with the runner. And maybe there's an answer to it, but we just haven't figured it out. Like we need quantum computers to do that or something like that, But I just look at those gaps that I have. And then you have people that are coming in. I've been doing this for 3 years. And you have people that come in for a week or a month and they're like, oh, I've got it all figured out. Okay, dude. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing most of the time. You're probably going to be humbled at some point. You're going to come back, or you're going to go follow that account and come back in a year and they'll be like, oh, the market's unfair. But that's how they work you. They build you up, and then your strategy fails hard. And the trick to trading, I think, is realizing when your strategy is failing hard and saving it if you're new, or if you're good, turning around and taking advantage of the opposite. Anyways, let's check Twitter to see if there's anything I missed on Twitter. Economic activity has probably bottomed, says Goldman. In China, activity has rebounded quickly since February despite only a gradual decline in lockdowns. If the West manages only a very partial repeat of that performance, that would imply brisk sequential activity growth. Okay. See, and I guess the other issue that I have is like, I expect a sharp recovery. It's just that, like, once you have a sharp recovery, you're going to come back to a point and you're going to see that we've lost economic output, and it's probably going to take another year or two to get to like new highs. So if we're already up to where we should be, like after the recovery, that how can that be? I don't think that it's driven based off of the recovery. I think it's driven based off of people have too much money. Is the only way to put it. Let's see here, Brannigan. What is he saying? The two risk proxies to have on the radar this week: the U.S. dollar. Don't underestimate the underlying strength coming into this market. Secondly, the Chinese yuan. The ESF has shown clear underperformance whenever a strong bid comes into the dollar. Upside bids should be sold into. Yes. I think he says upside bids. I think he means in the E-mini. So he's saying the dollar is going to get stronger. Well, do we see that? We are definitely seeing that today. They've gone from 99.26 to 99.48. Just show you what I can see here. I don't know why it's not showing me further back, but I guess because it's the weekend and everything. A lot of those futures weren't running. They might push up and make another run, but here we're like right at we're below on the hour still. And I had my big rant. I think that we will stick around until the top of the hour and watch this. See if they make a clear direction, but then probably we'll shut things down. So many people today. I'm really like, it's not uncommon for us to get to 50 viewers in a day. We usually get close up there. But on a Monday, it's a lot of people. I appreciate it, guys. And so many likes. I think if we get to 20 likes, then we have a new record. So hit that, smash, destroy it. It's still there. Click that thumbs up. Thank you. I love it. It feels like when I say something like that and you can see the number go up, I'm like, oh yeah. Thank you, guys. You're just so great. I'm not. I don't know why I always say this, but it's just like this feeling when I'm like this feeling of gratitude that comes over me, and I just can't help it. But it's like there's nothing special about me. I'm not necessarily always the best trader, and I'm just so lucky to be in this position. And you guys are such a great audience. It's a little. It's still a little Monday-ish, right? But you guys are great.
Gary Rich says Musk puts 2 homes for sale, vows to sell most possessions on Bloomberg.
Whoa,
Elon,
wait, what? He's really doing it?
Junior says 1 like to go.
Wait, is he really doing it? That is so weird. His girlfriend was, oh man. He's going to sell his possessions and do what? He's just going to live like a minimalist lifestyle? Is that what he wants to do? Wait, let's read it, because I remember seeing that headline, but I guess I didn't see enough about that. Elon Musk wasn't kidding. He's actually selling his... Okay, Mashable. Mashable's not my favorite website, but we'll read it on Mashable. A few days ago, Elon Musk tweeted that he intends to sell all of his real estate. Now it appears as if he's actually doing it. I am selling almost all of my physical possessions, and I will own
Alarid
no
says
house.
Probably he is planning on leaving Earth.
He's planning... Wait. Is he going to go live on the moon or something? Like what? Where is he going to live? If he's not going to have any houses, Wait. In a subsequent tweet, Musk specifically mentioned one of his houses which used to belong to Willy Wonka and
Junior
Chocolate
says
Factory's
Mars.
Gene Wilder. The reason behind the sale? Freedom, he tweeted. Mars. He's going to go live on Mars? Like, how? On Monday, Sam Sheed, a tech correspondent at CNBC, noticed that two properties known to belong to Musk have been listed for sale on Zillow. Specifically, Wilder's old house located in the Bel Air neighborhood of Los Angeles. Bel Air neighborhood of Los Angeles is listed for $9.5 million. Updated but carefully preserved, unique, quirky. Well, that's just the explanation of it. Musk reportedly owns several other houses at a total value of more than $100 million, but if those recent listings are any indication, he really does intend to free himself of owning lavish mansions, which honestly is something most of us have already achieved. Musk's real estate-related tweets came amid an odd Twitter rant in which he expressed his frustration with the coronavirus lockdown measures, indifference toward losing Twitter followers, and devotion to Mars and Earth. He said Tesla's stock price is too high, partially inducing a fairly major stock price dump. Finally, he said his girlfriend Grimes is mad at him for selling his possessions, though it appears that didn't exactly stop him from doing it. That is so weird.
Gary Rich says it's a trick by Elon. Yep, he's gonna take a SpaceX rocket to Mars with his Model 3 already there.
That would be so freaking funny. I really don't think that we have the technology for Elon Musk to go to Mars and start living there. That would be the biggest surprise ever. Like seriously, the biggest surprise ever. There's no way that that he has the technology to do that, and NASA's all like, we're all unawares, completely clueless. Oh man.
Junior says he doesn't want the SEC to find him for his Tesla stock price tweet.
Yeah, so here's another thing. Is it illegal for a CEO to say that I think my company is overvalued? Like, assuming that he doesn't take a position to front run it. Is that straight up illegal? Because this is you're probably getting into beyond my knowledge of SEC rules, you know? So it's because CEOs can say things that affect the price of a stock. The investors could certainly sue him. Like, the board could sue him, but can the SEC, like, well, he got in trouble before, didn't he? What was it that he did before? I don't remember anymore. Elon Musk settles SEC. I think that they settled, right? He settled the fraud charges. Elon is on probation for tweeted deal secured by the SEC. That's right. What was it? The SEC also today charged Tesla with failing to have required disclosed controls and procedures relating to Musk's tweet. On August 7th, 2018, he tweeted that he could take Tesla private at $420 a share. Oh, that's, yeah. The SEC's complaint alleged that, in truth, Musk knew that the potential transaction was uncertain and subject to numerous contingencies. So that one is different. That one is different for sure.
Simon Todd says Musk has had similar tweets in the past. Luis Alarid says Elon's actual tweet, I am selling almost all physical possessions.
Yeah.
Will own no house. Simon Todd says nothing happened to him to my knowledge.
Maybe, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should have bought. Could have bought at 2809. Wouldn't it be bad? We're not too far though. I think I'm up on the day, and I think I'm happy with what I got. His tweets are supposed to be approved by lawyers, but again, he violates those terms. Oh, really? Yeah, but so let's just say that Who would be like somebody not crazy? Okay, let's say that Jamie Dimon came out and said, I think that JP Morgan's stock is overvalued on Twitter. Is that illegal? Because I don't think, because the reason that Elon got in trouble last time was because he was tweeting about a potential deal, and you have to go through disclosure and all these regulations says another tweet, to do
rage against the dying of the light of consciousness.
So, is it illegal for
Gary
him?
Rich says yes, it is by SEC.
What is the rule that says that you can't give a personal opinion on the stock price if you are the CEO? Like, that would basically have to, like, what is the, I can't even imagine what the rule would be. That financial officers can't comment on the price of the stock? Is that like a rule?
Simon Todd says I am not aware of one.
I don't know. Everybody seems to think that. The thing that's funny.
Patrick Desing says could it allude to insider information since he knows the company's financials?
No, I don't even think that it does, Patrick, because there's...
CracksFX says manipulating the stock price.
If you go and look at the balance sheet and you look at, I mean, you can do this kind of math. I'm not an expert on this sort of stuff. I'm sure that you find other people on YouTube that are more into fundamentals and on individual stocks. But you can go in and you can say, okay, I think the Tesla is going to sell this many Teslas, and this is what their costs are going to be. And then you come out and you should be able to see the effect that is going to have on their overall earnings per share and how much that should affect the price of the stock. And if you do that math, I don't think that you're going to get $800. I think you're going to get something more like $600 if you an optimistic estimate. So he could totally say that based off of public information. You know? But then there's this.
CracksFX says manipulating the stock price.
Man, the day that happened, if you go on the Tesla's subreddits, oh man, all of those guys, they owned the stock. They were so mad, and they were accusing him of fraud, like that he had gotten together with some short sellers, and that's why he was tweeting it. And I'm like, there's absolutely no evidence that that's happened. He's usually complaining about the short sellers. They're just complaining because you lost money. Right?
Gary Rich says a CEO can say their stock is undervalued but not overvalued.
Okay.
Elon said his stock was too high. SEC is looking into his antics.
Well, we'll see if they charge him.
Simon Todd says yeah, if he front ran it, it would clearly be different.
Yeah, if he front ran it, definitely different. I guess we'll see what they charge him with. I mean, I think they probably will try and find something to charge him, and then maybe he can fight it or something. But so here's another thing that's really weird to me about this. Okay. This is a little bit out there, but Grimes. So do you know this girl? I know this girl because long before she got together with Elon Musk, she was always like in the electronic dance music scene, like the most quirky one. Like she was making electronica, which is like, it's all electronic dance music, but you can't really dance to it kind of. And it's a lot slower. And her videos were always weird. Like the popular song that people always talk about is her standing in areas that are typically male dominated. Like she's at a football game and she's like in a gym and she's just singing while these guys are in the background pumping weights or cheering in the football game. This is her. And she was like, you know, the super free-minded type. You know, that's kind of become popular now, but she was like, you know, she was on the edge. You know what I mean? She was hip before it was hip. And I would have thought that she would have been one of the first people to be like, yeah, let's have a minimal lifestyle and not own anything. But she's apparently upset about it. That to me is really weird too. And then that he tweets that she's mad about it. Like, okay. I don't know. Like if I was a rich guy like Elon Musk and I didn't have kids, I wouldn't want to own a large property. I would live in a nice apartment in the most convenient location that I could, and I would have a room to entertain guests, and a room for me, and a room for my trading computer, and that's it. That's all I would need if I didn't have kids. The only reason that I justify it to myself any of the stuff that I own is because it's for the kids. And so I can see him doing it, but I don't know. Where's he going to live? Is he going to get it? He says he's not going to own any properties. So is he going to live in an apartment, or is he going to like go and live in the woods or something? Like, you really got to wonder. Or is he going to step down as chairman and he's going to go to move to Mars? I don't know. It's so weird.
Gary Rich says if TSLA stays above 100 bill, he has to exercise his options package for 364 mil.
Oh, is that real? So he has a vested interest in keeping it down. Then that's maybe you're right, Gary.
Luis Alarid says pothead mentality, he is chilling.
Well, you could wonder, like, was he on something when he was doing all that? But I don't know. Elon Musk is what do we call a highly creative person? And highly creative people are always kind of, you know what I mean?
Gary Rich says Elon is so FOSS, people keep buying his BS.
Wait, what does FOSS mean? Oh, full of shit, of course. Yes. As I was typing it, I was like, oh, it means full of shit, yep.
Daniel K says technically, he has an unvested interest hung out.
Well, if he has a vested interest in it staying down and then he tweets stuff like that, then they can definitely go after him. Good. Excellent point, Gary. I think you might be right. I think that those options could end up mattering probably when the SEC goes after him. Man. Should that be the title of today's video? Is Elon Musk is probably screwed? That's I think so. Elon Musk is probably screwed. The SEC is going to go after him. And how bad could it be this time? They throw the book at him? I don't know. Even if they throw the book at him, it might not be so bad for him, except for that they could get jail time. Elon Musk in jail and a felon? Ooh. Could it happen?
Eric says he's an AI robot. Gary Rich says I read his 2018 comp package.
Okay. It's interesting. Yeah. Anyways, highly creative people. Always kind of on the edge. I've been watching a documentary series about Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency. And one of the things that he talks about is that it's really hard to find agents because you have to find people that are extremely creative. And people that are extremely creative are also usually a little crazy. So you have to find somebody that has the high degree of crazy, but is 100% perfectly sane and makes sound decisions. And those two things don't tend to come together. I don't think that I'm on that. I think that I tend to be overly logical to the point of it being problematic, and that I intentionally do weird things to try and be creative, but that I'm not actually that creative. I think. But maybe I could be wrong. Maybe some of my art, some of the pictures and the intros and stuff, maybe that's more artistic than I give myself credit for. But I think I'm not highly creative, not in the way that Elon Musk is. Man, that guy, he's just a creative thinker. And so, yeah, doesn't surprise me. He's probably going to do crazy things from time to time. A little crazier than I think he should be, but whatever. Whatever. Well, we're drawing down. We got about 4 minutes left. Thank you guys. By the way, we did get over 20 likes, so thank you very, very much. The E-mini is still like, I was like, maybe I should come in and get another trade. If I had taken another trade, and I don't know if I really would have gotten a good signal. I guess I could have taken this one right here, 2809, but that wouldn't have worked out so well. So I think we're in a good spot. What might happen is we'll continue to move sideways again for like another 30 minutes. We might have a wave of something, but yeah, you get that London close, and then maybe we'll see after the London close, maybe we'll get this thing again where, they've been doing the past couple of days where then the real move begins after the London close. Let's see here, Gary. We're out of text-to-speech requests, unfortunately. Apple got fined by the SEC for backdating their option compensation packages back in the day. You can really make a ton of money off of those options packages too, right? It's a little cray. Let's see if there was anything I missed here. Oh, that same tweet from Live Squawk. Oh, I can tell you that there's a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan. The U.S. Secretary of State Michael Pompeo said on ABC's This Week. Oh. DNC chairman defends decision not to form investigative panel. I trust Joe Biden. Okay, bud. Why you would trust any politician on any issue ever. It's okay if you believe him, but to say I trust him, yeah. Just my opinion. I probably shouldn't go too deep into that one. Oh, man. Let's see here. What else we got going on here? Gary Norden tweets, excellent article at NN Squared Capital. We have held the view that many quant funds would struggle during higher volatility. It's one reason why we design our trades with a qualitative or fundamental input, while we still aim for around zero correlation to equities. Fundamental indeed. My story, after Quant Bust 2020 comes a reckoning for stock math wizards. Oh, wow. I want to read that. Because haven't we said here many, many times that you have all of these quant things and they're going to get it wrong? Like eventually something's going to change that has no historical precedent, and therefore their quant strategies aren't going to be able to deal with it. Sometimes we get things right. All right. Well, I guess I can show you. Here's our mini trades. And then here was our two trades on ZN. That actually makes me a little unhappy. That one really shouldn't have happened. These should have been like, I should have gotten 62 out of it. I really mismanaged that. I think there's a problem when I'm holding a position for that long. I kind of lost focus. So, yep, that's today. Thank you guys again. Wow, 22 likes. You guys are so great. I will see you tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.